Okay.
And Joanna, I'm not sure if as the facilitator, you just kind of, as people come in, want to just welcome them to the room, let people know when we're going to get started, anything like that, but it's up to you.
Or do you want to do a sound check first,
Oh, if it's the Debbie lady who was in last time, that was just for the main planetary sessions.
Okay.
But if each of the speakers just for on our side want to just do a quick sound check just for us, that would be helpful as well, just to make sure that we can let everybody know if we're hearing them correctly.
That'd be great. I'm already unmuted, so I will just say hi and then invite, because I can see, I think I have all of the other panelists, or almost all are already online. So guys, please go ahead and unmute yourself and let's see if we can hear you.
Hello, hi, it's so good to see all of you. Good to see you, Joanna.
Hello, it's really nice to see everyone on screen.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you.
Amazing. And I would ask as well, just to make it helpful for me to make sure I can spotlight the right people and people are looking at the right person, would I be able to ask the presenters just to rename themselves with a little underscore before your name? That makes it very helpful that you're at the top of my screen, and I can just ensure that when you're doing your presentation and when you're speaking, that your camera is the one up front for everybody.
Got it.
Thank you. Amazing.
So if you're not sure how to rename yourself, if you hover over your video, you'll see 3 dots appear in the top right corner. And you should be able, if you click on that, you'll get an option to rename yourself.
So how should we rename ourselves?
Just put, Kat's asking if you can put an underscore just in front of your name, because then you go to the top of the list and she can make sure that you're pinned when you're speaking.
So welcome to everyone who's joining us. As you can tell, we're just doing a sound check and preparation, and we'll get started in a couple of minutes.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Kat, we've got over 90 people. Well, we've got 90 people in the room already. Would you mind going ahead and sharing the Mentimeter for those colleagues who are here a couple of minutes early?
Yes, of course. 2 seconds here. Okay, so I've just shared the question as well as the following Mentimeter in the chat. If you'd like to start with that, just for those that are here already, I will be sending it again in a short moment, just for those that are still arriving. So please disregard if you see the same message twice. And Susanna, should I share my screen for the, just so people can see the question as well?
An explanation
Yeah,
maybe of Mentimeter.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. Once you click on the link, it will just ask you to kind of fill out an answer for the question there. And you can just hit submit and that question will be sent to the presenters. Oh, I'm sharing my screen. Sorry about that. Here we go.
Again, welcome to everybody who's joining us. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. There is a Mentimeter in the chat box as we're trying to learn a little bit about you and what you're thinking about the topic today. So if you have a chance as we wait to click on that link and give us some of your thoughts about the topic of coordination and localization during COVID-19.
So I'm just going to stop sharing for 2 seconds to share it a little bit better for you.
Leila's saying she can't see the link. Hi, Leila. There's a Mentimeter link in the chat box just above. There we go.
I do see, is there a question from David? David, would you like to say what your question is? I see your hands up there. No worries if not.
So again, a warm welcome to everyone who's joining this session. It's the first of the thematic sessions for the Alliance's global annual meeting. We're just about to get started, and as we wait for all the people to join us, we've put up a Mentimeter. It's in the chat box. You'll see the link there. And we have a question to kick us off for your engagement in this session. We'll get started in 1 minute. All right, we'll get our session started. Thank you everybody for joining us. I have a hard time seeing numbers, but I know we're over 100 people, which really points to the interest in localization during this and coordination during this time of COVID-19. My name is Joanna Wedge, and I am the facilitator of this session. It's been a real pleasure to watch this session come together. There's lots of interesting panelists who are going to bring you some of their experiences, as well as engage with you to hear about what you see as opportunities and challenges of localization in child protection coordination in COVID-19, but also going forward. And we really want to see through this session how more coordination groups can adopt localization initiatives and support national and local actors in taking a lead role. So I think the way this has been structured with some presentations and case studies and questions to you and so on is a really interactive forum for both learning from all the actors who've gathered together today in this room. So we have about 50 minutes to come together and have these discussions. There's quite an interesting flow, as I say, that gives a chance for our great speakers to present from their different perspectives, as well as to get your ideas in different activities, but also in the chat box. If you'd like to put any question or any clarity that you need in the chat box, then please do go ahead and do that throughout the whole session. So my role is fairly short in this, beyond being timekeeper in the background. It's really up to all the speakers who will be taking us forward. So first of all, I'm going to pass over to the session moderator. I've had the great pleasure to know the moderator, today's moderator, for over 15 years. She brings a huge wealth of knowledge and experience to this session. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Fatuma Ibrahim. She is the Global Child Protection AOR's lead on localization. So Fatuma, over to you.
Thank you very much, Joanna, for the kind introduction. And thank you very much to all of you for joining this session. We are delighted to see so many of you coming to join. It just shows how important this session is. Now, the focus of our session is going to be very much shifting the norms in child protection cluster coordination, which we know very well is very much led by international actors. So the speakers today are going to share their experiences in how they've been supporting national and local actors in playing bigger roles in the coordination mechanism, both at national and subnational levels. They also talk about the challenges they've encountered, but also the opportunities that exist, and they'll also touch on the critical role that local actors are playing in the response to COVID-19. Shall we have the Mentimeter, Joanna? So some of you have already pointed out those roles, but I wanted to, while I'm waiting for the Mentimeter to come up, I wanted to share an observation during the opening session. I think there was a lot that was said about localization, and maybe the question that remains is, why are we not making the progress that we should be making when we see the need? We know it's not only important, but it's also the right thing to do. It's also the smart thing to do. If you saw the questions that they asked us on the poll, there was one on which organization type was being represented. And you know what? 12% are local or national NGOs or regional. And then INGOs was 54%. That is so telling. But you'll hear more from our 6 panelists who are coming from Ghad organization, which is in Iraq, a Grow Strong Foundation in Nigeria, Save the Children, Street Child UK, and UNICEF. And I know you are all very eager to listen to the speakers. So before I just start introducing them, I wanted to pick out some of the few things you've said. The role of local actors in CP coordination in your country. People are mentioning co-lead at the subnational level. I haven't seen any co-lead at the national level, but so we'll be hearing about that. And there's an interesting one. People are saying they are part of the coordination groups, but very few co-lead. But definitely they're included in decision making. We'll hear more about how that works. How are they included in decision making? But allow me to go ahead and introduce the first 3 set of speakers. So we will have Joyce Mutiso. Joyce is the coordinator for the child protection subsector in Northeast Nigeria, and she's from UNICEF. Allow me also to introduce Sarah John Gima. Sarah is the co-coordinator in the child protection subsector in Northeast Nigeria. Sarah works with Joyce, and she is from Grow Strong Foundation. And then in the same team, we'll have Megan Liz McCowan. Megan is the Africa Head of Programs for Street Child UK. Joyce, Sarah, and Megan, you have the floor. Joyce.
Joyce, sorry, I think you're still muted. Apologies. We can't hear you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Please confirm you can hear me.
All good.
Great. Should I just introduce myself or go ahead with the presentation?
Very briefly, and then go ahead with the presentation.
Is the presentation going to be projected?
Yes, if you would like to share it yourself so that you have full control, you should have rights to be able to share the screen. I'll just double check that right now.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Do double check, but you should have it.
Joyce, would you like me to do it for you so you can concentrate on presenting?
Yes, if you don't mind, please go ahead. Thank you.
I'd be happy to. Please go ahead and present and then I'll pull it up for you.
So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Joyce. I'm the Child Protection Subsector Coordinator in Northeast Nigeria, and I'm going to speak briefly about the work that we've done in terms of localization in coordination. So in 2019, we developed a strategy note, and the purpose of the strategy note was to highlight and understand what gains we had made at the time in terms of localization within the subsector. And we also looked at what the challenges were for localization within the subsector, and we identified approaches of addressing those challenges. That took us to a discussion within the subsector of how we can improve localization, particularly within coordination. And we agreed that we would have a national NGO. And when we say national, we mean national stroke local. So we agreed to have a national NGO that would co-lead the subsector. We then developed terms of reference for the NGO co-lead organization, and through a competitive selection process that was led by the strategic advisory group of the subsector, we identified Grow Strong Foundation as the organization that would co-lead the subsector. We then developed specific terms of reference for the NGO co-coordinator and identified Sarah John Gima, who's here with us today, as the co-coordinator through a selective process. After Sarah took up her post, we've been supporting her in various ways, primarily through consistent coaching and mentoring sessions that we have on a weekly basis, not only on technical knowledge in child protection, but also on coordination skills. And one of the things that we found that is most helpful for the success that we've seen is to have clear roles and responsibilities designated between the coordinator and the co-coordinator, so that the co-coordinator does not end up being a deputy of the coordinator, but has very clear roles and responsibilities that they're able to deliver on and to be accountable for. Over to you, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. So please, can you move to the next slide, Susanna? So upon taking up this strategy and of localization at the subnational level here in Nigeria, we have about 60% of the CPSS membership, which is local and national NGOs. And the reason we had this is because we want to have a strong connection with the community level. We try to see that we involve the community members. That is why most of our membership for the subsector are national.
I think we have a problem.
It seems that Sarah's connection is not working properly.
So maybe Joyce could continue.
Okay, so very quickly to pick up from where Sarah left, and please allow me not to have my video because we are both in Maiduguri and I think we're having challenges with the network. So within the subsector, about 60% of the membership is of local and national organizations. And this has provided us with an opportunity to see how we can strengthen the linkage between community networks and the child protection actors in the COVID-19 response. So we see that as an opportunity. During the lockdown measures, specifically, we adapted the localization approach to support national organizations to access personal protective equipment, to develop IEC materials that were translated in various languages, and to also have megaphones, or what you would call town criers, to support dissemination of information on COVID-19 specifically for children. And lastly, one of the things that we've also seen as an opportunity and a step forward was to look at how we address the barriers to information and access to services for the affected population through working very strongly and closely with Translators Without Borders to translate and interpret messages and information in local languages in Northeast Nigeria. Over to you, Megan.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Joyce and Sarah. I mean, this is a fantastic step towards localization in Northeast Nigeria, and we at Street Child are really pleased to have supported through our project with the CPAOR. So what I wanted to briefly speak about next brings us right up to date with the current pandemic, and that is the essential role of local actors in rapid response. Local actors are some of the most cost-effective, efficient, and relevant responders in emergency contexts. As many of you noted in the Mentimeter, they can access tough areas, are connected to what affected people need, and understand what responses will or won't work and why. Yet in global humanitarian funding terms, most are getting just crumbs from the table. The 2020 Grand Bargain report found only 3.7% of humanitarian funding is going to local actors. And more than ever in the COVID-19 pandemic, with international travel brought to a standstill, local actors have been called upon to respond. But 3 months in, just 0.1% of the global humanitarian response plan was going directly to local actors. So this project with the CPAOR allowed Street Child to pivot to immediately prioritize rapid response funding for local actors. We drew in particular on our experience in the Ebola crisis of the critical role of local actors in sharing health information from a position of trust, understanding contextual barriers, and seeing the bigger humanitarian picture beyond the health crisis. So by April, we'd kicked off a first phase rapid response fund across our 4 contexts, that's Afghanistan, Bangladesh, DR Congo, and Nigeria. The fund supported 9 local protection actors to mobilize for COVID-19 preparedness and prevention in their local communities, mapping needs and gaining a field presence and position of community trust early on. So all the actors Street Child supported have since scaled their COVID response, and many have won funding from other sources to further scale up with support from our resource mobilization help desks to connect to other funding sources. You know, the Rapid Response Fund really helped catalyze early local action, making capable local actors visible and overall strengthening the child protection subsector's capacity to respond to COVID-19 early on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Megan. Thank you very much, Sarah. And thank you very much, Joyce, for highlighting your experiences in Northeast Nigeria as part of the localization initiative that is supported by the CPOR, and sharing the opportunities and maybe some of the challenges that you experienced, but most importantly, pointing out the critical role of local actors in the COVID-19 response. Now we are going to allow the participants to have or to raise questions on the very short but very clear presentations from Sarah, Joyce, and Megan. And we will ask the Mentimeter to be provided. It's actually been provided.
Yes, I just put it in the chat now for you, Fatima.
Okay, if you look in the chat, you will see the Mentimeter. Please click on it. You will find a question which would like you to, to give us questions about what you think the role of national actors are in the COVID-19 response. Please click on the Mentimeter.
Fatima, may I check? Would you like me to share the screen with the questions on the screen for you?
Yes, please do.
Fantastic. 1 second.
We already have one question, and this question is for Joyce and Sarah. Ghad, how do we have all the questions?
Apologies, I'm not sure if it's going to show all the questions at once. It looks like it's going to show them one by one, if that's okay. But I'm happy to quickly scroll through them if you'd like to select one of the questions.
Okay, probably we go back to the first question.
Yes, I believe this is 1 out of 8 at the moment. So this is the
Yeah.
first question that I have.
Yeah. So, okay, this is this the first one now? So
Yes.
do we have any example of a localization strategy from Syria? How does the global localization approach apply to government of Syria areas in Syria, or what does it say on Syria government? I think I only have, I will try and answer this, but I have the answer for the first part. In the last few weeks, the Global Protection Cluster has been having the annual forum. And during the annual forum, we did hear a lot about localization in Syria. The participants from Syria talked about how there was a huge focus on working with local and national NGOs, and in some cases, local authorities as well, because that was the best way and perhaps the easiest way of getting humanitarian response to the affected situation. We have asked to see whether they actually had a strategy as such. What we heard from them is that they use the humanitarian needs overview and the humanitarian response plan to focus on this. So I don't think there was a different strategy as such, but they did focus on the HNOs and the HRP, and that's how they provided a lot more funding to local and national NGOs to provide the response. I'm very sorry, I don't have a response for the second part of the question, but if somebody has, please go ahead and provide that. If not, we'll move on to the next question.
Sorry, it did go back up with one before. Sorry, it's being a little silly with me right now, but there's the next one for you. Sorry, Fatima, it seems you're muted at the moment.
Yeah, so what were the challenges experienced during the co-coordination and how were they addressed, or will they be addressed? Is there any area the coordination would like to highlight as a gap? Over to you, Joyce.
I think what I would say that I would say is a gap, not necessarily that we identified as a gap, is the fact that Sarah took up her role just as COVID-19 kicked off. So that opportunity to have the one-to-one mentoring was kicked out of the park a little bit, and we've had to do our coaching and mentoring online. I would also have wanted to go to the field together with Sarah to visit the sites where child protection workers are implementing, to have hands-on experience in the field with her. But unfortunately, for about 3 or 4 months, we were not able to do that. So interestingly, we had the opportunities, but this was affected by COVID-19. But we took up, we tried to address that by using the weekly mentoring sessions with Sarah. And we also looked at her supporting, getting support from Fatuma, for example, localization, as well as on technical aspects. And she did a lot of online training on various courses to do GBV, coordination, and so forth. So we tried to make the best out of what we had. Thank you.
I would like to compliment Joyce's response. Thank you very much, Joyce. Overall, I think one big challenge is finding funding to cover the cost of a co-coordinator. We've had this from other coordination mechanisms that yes, they may be able to identify a co-lead, a co-coordinator, but finding the resources to cover that is usually very difficult. In the case of Nigeria, they managed to do it, and it's both because of the work that the CPOR did, but also the work that was done by Street Child. So I would like to request Megan to just add a few, to speak very briefly on the effort Street Child has done to make sure that there is funding for the co-coordination.
Thanks very much, Fatuma. Yeah, it's absolutely a challenge that's been identified to us across the 4 countries that we were working in, that funding for the co-coordinator is absolutely critical, because often the extra responsibilities are asked of local partners who lack the resources, both human and financial, to take up that co-coordination role. So in fact, in this project, we specifically allocated resources for the ongoing salary for the co-coordinator in Northeast Nigeria in particular, so that they could backfill that position within their organization, since somebody who has the skills and capabilities to take on that role is often very valuable. And I know Sarah is very valuable at Grow Strong as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm really afraid that this is all we have because we had only a few minutes to respond to the questions, but I can see that we have 21 questions. We will do what Hani and Audrey said at the beginning. We will compile these questions and we will provide responses. And before the end of the annual meeting, we'll provide the answers to all of you who attended this session. I would now like to continue with the program. And I'm going to call upon the next set of speakers who are going to talk to us about the impact of coaching and mentoring potential co-coordinators or coordinators in Iraq. I would like to introduce Nawras Mahmood, who is the co-coordinator for the Child Protection subcluster in Iraq, and she is from Save the Children. Nawras will be presenting along with Salah Hassan, who is the co-coordinator for the Nineveh Child Protection Working Group in Iraq. Salah is hosted by the Ghad organization in Iraq. Nawras and Salah, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Fatuma, and thank you for joining, guys. I think you did a very wise decision and you will not regret it. So I hope the slide will be showing on the screen soon. And I also hope you watched our videos on the Alliance's YouTube channel, where we had a brief about the localization of child protection in Iraq. But here we would just like to maybe elaborate more on the capacity building. Next slide, please, Kat. So for the capacity building of the local or the national coordinators, which on the national and subnational level, now all of us are national staff, we started with an online survey to assess the capacity of each coordinator to see where are the strengths and the areas for development. And then based on the result, we developed a bilateral personalized capacity building plan with each coordinator. And we then shared a list of online training that are available on different platforms with each coordinator for them to benefit from. We also had a regular coaching session bilaterally with each coordinator to focus on the well-being and on the operation side of the CP coordination, as well on the challenges they face, and we follow up on the trainings that they are taking as well. We also decided to have some group coaching calls. We usually have a bi-weekly group calls. We discuss the operation side of the CP coordination in different locations, but we dedicate some of these coaching sessions, some of these group sessions to coaching sessions as well. For example, now we are in the HNO HRP season, so we are deciding to focus more on the HPC steps and share what are the steps of the process, and to engage more the national staff in the humanitarian program cycle steps. And my colleague Salah will share his experience from as a participant side. Salah, over to you.
Thank you, Nora, so much. And hi, everybody. This is Salah Hassan from NANO Iraq Child Protection Working Group, and now I am co-leading the Child Protection Working Group. In fact, throughout the individual coaching sessions, as I am co-leading the NANO Child Protection Working Group, I have been collecting precious information and knowledgement, and in fact, they are very interesting and strengthening my capacities. They are also represent such as a quick available good guidance when I need support throughout co-leading the child protection working group. In addition, for the group coaching sessions, in fact, different suggestions, opinions, and point of views are usually presented by the coordinators during the sessions, which usually gives the opportunity to various solutions for the current or for the potential challenges that may occur soon or in the future. Thank you, Nawras, and over to you again.
Thank you. But we also have some challenges, of course. One of the challenges is, next slide, please. Thank you. So one of the challenges was with the remote modality after COVID. So we had different challenges with using technology in country. Another challenge is the dedicated time of the coordinators, where it is only 20%, and because they are very capable, internally their organization put lots of pressure on them. But this is also a chance to maybe just to conclude that donors and international organizations need to rethink the partnership with the national organization so they can contribute more and fund more the child protection coordination in the future, because it needs a long time dedication. So for us not to face any staff turnover. Thank you. Over to you. I hope I was on time.
Yes, you are, Nawras. Nawras and Salah, thank you so much for sharing your very good experience and highlighting the work that you've done in terms of mentoring and coaching the coordinators and co-coordinators from national and local NGOs, but also from the government as well. I think that's a point that we need to stress, that is not only limited to NGOs, it was also local authority. I'm now going to hand over to Susanna, but before I do that, let me give a short introduction of who Susanna is. Susanna Davis is the Senior Coordinator for Child Protection in Humanitarian Action for Save the Children. She is going to take us through a short exercise to reflect on what Nawras and Salah has just shared. Over to you, Susanna.
Thanks very much, Fatima, and thanks to Nawras and Salah and Joyce and Sarah and Megan as well for all the really great presentations so far. I hope participants have been able to get a little bit of a perspective of the different challenges and also really important successes that they've been able to achieve in their different contexts. We'd love to invite participants now to have the opportunity to share a bit their own experiences. In just a moment, we're going to send you to 4 different breakout rooms where you'll have a little bit less than 10 minutes now to consider the question: what tools and resources are needed in your context to improve localization and coordination? So if this is something that you are going to hopefully be able to take up, if it's not already being prioritized in the response where you work, or maybe the responses that you support, what kind of tools and resources would you need to do that? Your feedback is something that we hope to take into account in a forthcoming toolkit on localization and coordination that's being developed jointly by the different organizations on this panel. So if you wouldn't mind, you can use Mentimeter to log some of your ideas, and that will help us keep track of them. So I'll go ahead and ask the producer to send you to the breakout groups, and some of the panelists will join you to support facilitating that discussion. And we'll see you back here in a few minutes.
Hi, everybody. This is the producer, Katrina. I just wanted to let you know that the Mentimeter link has been shared in the chat so that you can use that once you go into your breakout rooms. I'm going to assign you to your breakout rooms now. I just asked that the presenters that will be going to specific breakout rooms, if you can just kindly reject the first invitation that you get, just so I can make sure I put you in the correct breakout rooms once everybody's gone, if that's all right. Great. Thank you. All right, so everyone should be moving over now. Perfect. Okay. So Nawras and Joyce, I'm just going to move you over now to room 3 now that I can see you. Unfortunately, so much easier this way. Susanna, have you rejected the pop-up that came up? Did you say not now?
I did, yeah.
Okay, doesn't seem to want to listen, but that's okay. Give me 2 seconds.
I didn't see any.
You didn't see any? Okay, 2 seconds.
I saw one and I rejected it. This is Joyce.
Yes, okay, thank you, Joyce. Let me try again here. If you click
Yeah,
on
it does look like there's about 30 participants who are still in the room.
Yes, if they haven't accepted it to move there, then they will stay in the room. Okay. If I ask you to click on the breakout rooms in the bottom corner of your screen, if it says go to room now, if you could just do that, and then presenters, if you can then just come back to the main room. For some reason, it's not letting me control which room you go to at the moment. But if you accept it, go to the room that I've assigned you to and come back. If you leave room, then it should be fine, if that's okay. Sorry to ask.
Sorry, Kat, I don't seem to have the option to go to a room.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Susanna.
I can see all the rooms. I mean, it's actually not that important for me to be in a room, as long as other colleagues are in rooms, and I can see all of them. But oh, actually, I think I might be able to join. Let me see.
Okay, sorry about this.
That's okay. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, so I joined room 1 and then I exited.
Okay, and sorry, who's this speaking, if I can just double check?
It's Joyce.
It's Joyce. Thank you, Joyce. I'm going to send you now. Do you have the option, Joyce, to select room 3 as an option to go to? If you don't know how to do that, that's fine. Just let me know.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do. Shall I join?
Can, please go to room 3. That would be fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. So I also left. Yeah, I left and rejoined. I can't see where to join another room though.
Okay, so are you looking at the screen where you can see all the breakout rooms?
Is there a specific screen I need to go to?
If you on your bottom bar, there's going to be one that has 4 squares called breakout rooms.
Yeah, I clicked on that and it said join breakout room 1.
Okay, does it show you any pop-up box or anything like that?
There's a pop-up box and the only option is to join breakout room and it's room 1.
Okay, if you can then go back to room 1, I'll move you to room 2 where you're supposed to be.
Okay, should I stay there and come back, or
no, just stay there. I'll physically override it and move you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there she goes. There she is. Move to room 2. Susanna's in room 1. Perfect. And how are you doing, Joanna? Oh, you're muted at the moment. Sorry.
I'm okay, thanks. Should that Mentimeter code be in each of the rooms as a Zoom broadcast?
Yes, I will broadcast it again. Because I posted it before they went to their rooms, it should be in every single person's chat, which is why I shared it that way. But I will broadcast it as well, just to double check. If there's anyone still in this main planetary room here and you are planning on moving to a breakout room, can you please just let me know? It seems that you might have not received your link or have not accepted it. So I just want to make sure if you'd like to be in a room that I can send you to the correct place. Fantastic. There's not too many people left here, so they just might just be inactive on their computer.
Exactly.
I seem to be able to jump in and out of rooms now.
Oh, fantastic.
Perfect. So Susanna, there's 9 minutes. Susanna, there's 9 minutes left till the top of the hour. How long do you want this one to keep going?
I was going to say, Kat, can you broadcast them a 1-minute warning?
Right.
Already?
No.
Already? Yeah.
I mean, we had I guess we could extend it a little bit and I can just be a bit more brief in the wrap up, but we had them coming back at 52.
Yeah. Do you want me just to send a 2-minute warning now?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
2-minute warning.
Luckily, I anticipated this and made my my concluding remarks brief.
Fantastic.
I'm just going to pop in one more group and see how they're doing.
Sounds great. Joanna, was the way I was sharing my screen okay? Apologies. I realized very quickly that when I share my screen, I actually cannot physically do anything else. So I made the mistake of touching my screen a few times and went, oh no.
Yeah, I couldn't see your chat. You were particularly worried about that.
Yes, no, okay, good. No, that's fantastic. I just realized that once I share the screen, I physically can't touch anything else. So I can't touch the chat. I can't touch anything. It was being very temperamental. And thank you, Susanna, for sharing the slides. I didn't realize I missed that wording in the outline. I thought that the presenters would be sharing their presentations themselves. So apologies for that, but thank you for sharing.
No worries. It's first day jitters.
I'm going to get the Mentimeter ready here to share.
Thanks. And then if we could just call them back once you're ready, Kat.
Yep, sounds great. Not a problem. I'm just going to present my screen so it's ready to be shared. And yes, I'm closing all the breakout sessions now. Okay, so everyone will start coming back.
Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, they're going to start flooding back in just a second.
Great. Do you want to put up the Mentimeter results so they can see them when they come back? Thanks.
There you are.
And Susanna, I'll give you the 1 minute for the whole, like just the last 1 minute, I'll let you know.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks.
Everyone coming back here. Yeah, they're starting to flood in now.
Great. Welcome back if you're coming back from the breakout rooms. I can see that I think there are still quite a few who are not back, so I'll just give them a moment. Wait for our numbers to go up slightly. You can see on the screen now some of the responses to the discussions. I know that they were probably far too short. But it looks like quite a few very interesting ideas. Oh, and I can see everybody flooding back into the room now. Welcome back. We've just put up on the screen some of your ideas from the, I know, quite short breakout sessions. I've seen quite a few on different kind of technical and institutional capacity building tools needed. I see a fair number of pointing out kind of in terms of resources needed, really needed funding to provide kind of that consistent support and mentoring for national NGOs who take on coordination processes, and also to provide support for national NGOs themselves. I can see a couple about more about human resources to be dedicated to coordination. I think this reflects very much some of the things that were brought up in the presentations. How local partners can engage with UN capacity building pack. I think that's quite an interesting suggestion for us as well. So I won't take tons of time to go through all the others, except to say I see a few references to capacity building around the child protection minimum standards, which is lovely to see, and to recognize that that's a tool for local actors as well, and one that we hope will kind of level the playing field. So it now falls to me to try and wrap up a session which has just really flown by. Thank you all so much for joining us to talk about localization and child protection coordination. I think you can all agree that the time was too short, and we were really pleased to have such a strong and engaged group. We've heard from colleagues in Nigeria and Iraq about the different approaches they took to strengthening local leadership in COVID-19 response and beyond. In both cases, international actors like Street Child, Save the Children, and the CPAOR worked collaboratively with national actors like the Ghad organization and Grow Strong Foundation to identify the best pathways for change. The different presenters highlighted challenges and barriers that they found along the way, from the practical need to make translation and interpretation available, to more complex negotiations about identifying clear roles and responsibilities when leadership is being shared amongst international and national actors, and the really important challenge of resourcing dedicated coordinators at both the national and subnational level that was highlighted both by our presenters and by several of you in your discussions. We heard from Street Child about the critical role of rapid funding to support local actors in acute humanitarian response. And Save the Children and Ghad organization highlighted the positive impact of coaching to support national actors leading coordination groups and to identify kind of problems on an ongoing basis and how to solve them. And we also heard from all panelists, kind of a call for greater funding, both of national NGOs themselves and specifically of coordination roles. We have heard from all of you about your experiences and what tools and resources you might need to advocate for increased local leadership in your context. And I know from jumping in and listening in to several of the breakout groups that many of you called not just for these practical tools and resources on different kinds of trainings, funding that were needed, but also for a bit of a mindset shift that we need international actors to see this as part of their daily work and to see it as not something that is an option that requires, oh, if we can do it, that would be nice, but rather as foundational and fundamental to how we approach humanitarian response. Many of your feedbacks and ideas will be reviewed, and we do hope to take them into account in this forthcoming toolkit that I mentioned. I think just to conclude for all of us, I think together all of the organizations presenting on this panel, we all recognize that humanitarian response led by well-resourced and capacitated national actors will be better able to fulfill the rights of children. But we also recognize that a great deal more work is needed to achieve that goal. Despite great examples of progress that were presented on the panel today, local leadership and child protection coordination still remains the exception. And progress is hampered by limited funding and unequal partnerships. We really strongly encourage any existing coordinators, co-leads, and AOR members who are on the call today to take up localization in their coordination groups, reach out to local and national actors, and engage in these frank conversations about the barriers that prevent them from participating equally in coordination mechanisms, and see what you can do to bring some of those barriers down. We call on donors to invest more in national actors and to support localization initiatives. Donors should particularly consider how they can support strengthening institutional capacity of local organizations. And finally, we do encourage each and every one of you to reach out to us following the sessions or continue discussions on the CP and COVID-19 community of practice, which is being shared with you now in the chat and which is co-hosted by the Alliance and the CPAOR. We really hope that this is the start of the conversation, and it's something that we can carry forward, not just in the Alliance annual meeting, but also in the rest of our work. And I will just say one last time, thank you again on behalf of all of my fellow panelists, and we really look forward to working together to advance localization and child protection coordination.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Susanna and Fatuma, and to all of the presenters. It's been a very interesting session. Lots of resources shared as well in terms of kind of ways to take this further forward. That brings to the end the first of the thematic sessions. There is a 5-minute break and then we continue on. There's a 10-minute break and then we continue on at 10 past the hour. We hope it gives you a chance to stretch and come off the device and, move around a little bit. And then to make your way back to the main Kiko room and then to choose which of the sessions you would like to re-engage with. Even if you want to continue on with localization, which is our next session in this room, we suggest you go back to the plenary. That way you don't have to hear all of the voices back and forth as we do our checks here. So you go to the Kiko chat and then you can join your next room or come back to this room using that Zoom function. Okay, thanks everybody.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so.
Thank you very much.
Excellent job, everybody.
I think we are still live streaming, so even if people are moving out of the room, we are still live on Facebook. I will remind. Thank you to all those presenters. You did a great job in short amount of time.
So you are still live.
Yes, I just have to find Sarah so she can fix that for me.
Okay.
So, Joanna, shall we remain here or we go off?
If you're not a presenter for the next session, I would suggest you go off, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I saw Mirette.
Sorry.
Who else do we have here? Nelly? Is Olivia here?